So, as a seller, I've realized that there are two completely different ways that you can approach pricing when it comes to listing your home for sale. One is to create buyer competition, and the other is what I've called shoot for the moon, and that one can backfire on you. And in this video, we are going to go over the difference between the two. The very first strategy is pricing to create competition. I call this pricing slightly, just slightly below what the market says you can get for your home. Sometimes homeowners will say, "Well, I don't want to give my house away." And I'm like, "You're not giving your house away." What you're doing is you are creating competition. What you're doing is you're creating buzz. You're getting people emotionally attached to the property so that when they see it and they fall in love with it, they're like, you know what? Comps in this area are 630. We know that we're going to have to go over a little bit. And that honestly is like the best position for your house. Your agent, when I can put highest and best on that listing description, music to my ears. Now, this strategy really is good for when your property doesn't need any like major repairs. You've been maintaining your house and it's in like pristine condition. This right here is personally one of my favorites. Okay, now the second strategy, and I have personally nicknamed this strategy. I call it the shoot for the moon and hope you land on earth strategy. And what that means is when you price your house over what the comps are saying, and you hope that when somebody comes and sees it, they're like, oh, I'm going to negotiate all the way down by $30,000 and I'm going to feel like I got a steal. But little do they know that's what you always wanted, right? So that way they don't feel like you're taking from them. They actually feel like you're giving to them, right? You're giving them like a lot of concessions. I will say this is not my favorite strategy. This is not my favorite strategy because I don't like to assume that a buyer is even going to want to see a property that is overpriced. Some buyers may be scrolling, looking at homes online and they're familiar with your neighborhood. They see this property and they're like, I don't know if that necessarily lines up to what I've been seeing. I think this seller is kind of unreasonable. I don't know if it's worth putting my kids in the car to go see this. I'm getting off of work. It's 6 o'clock. It's rush hour. I don't know if it's worth even going to go see this house, being that they're asking for too much. So when that happens, people tend to not want to see your home. People tend to just pass by it and then it sits and it sits and it sits. And now we're sitting at 90 days, 120 days on market. People start to question what's wrong with it. There's all these thoughts that a buyer has through their minds when you overprice it, hoping that they'll negotiate. Some people will just sidestep that power struggle and say, hey, I don't even want to negotiate. I'll just go see something else. Now, there's always a third option, which is pricing it right on the money, right? Pricing it at the price that we know it can sell for, that the comps are selling for, looking at the condition, really taking everything into consideration and pricing it right on the money. You can always do that. So personally, my favorite out of what we discussed would be trying to create buyer demand. Because at the end of the day, pricing is your best marketing strategy. So if you're in Metro Atlanta and you're thinking about selling your home, reach out to me. We can discuss pricing strategy and what strategy best fits your situation. Thank you for watching.